Now, Data Action Platform Action Grid is a list view alternative designed to improve access to your records and to make your list view in Salesforce more advanced. For those of you that are more focused, so they can already notice the extra mile we have achieved in the results list here, which we can go now up to 250 records in the list view. And with the action grid, you can actually perform more things than just a simple list view. We have introduced a spreadsheet-like features, such as the drag and drop of records. We have enabled you to copy-paste information within records. We have enabled as well also the inline editing, and most importantly, the editing of the owner field, which is currently not possible in Salesforce list view. And last but not the least, now you can also have all your favorite app actions one click away. To show you more about this, I will leave the word to Ruben, who will be showcasing you what is the true power of the action grid. So without further ado, I will leave the word to you, Ruben. You can take it away.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for attending today's webinar. I have the privilege to show you guys our newest addition to the Data Action Platform tool, which is called Action Grid. And Action Grid is a really powerful tool to interact with your data without having to transfer your data off the Salesforce servers, which is really nice. And yeah, we're now looking at a Salesforce list view, and everyone is familiar with this page, but maybe also with the limitations that come with this page. It's not really easy to manipulate data in the Salesforce list view. And that is the reason why we built the Action Grid. For a number of reasons, but foremost that you are able to manipulate data very easily, very quickly, and do a lot of fancy stuff to your data with all the capabilities that we have within Data Action Platform. And I'm going to show you a little demonstration of that. One of the things we cannot do, for example, is update pick list fields. We cannot update owners. We don't have a mass update capability, and so on and so on. Now, if you want to make use of Action Grid, we have to add the Action Grid button to our list view, and I'm going to show you quickly how that is done by switching to the Salesforce setup. I'm going to the Object Manager, and I'm going to find the lead object. Good thing to know is that the Action Grid can be applied to any object in Salesforce, also custom objects if you might have them. Simply, you go to the Object Manager, to the list view button layout, and you click Edit on the list view. And then at the custom button sections, we have the Action Grid as an option. We can move it to selected buttons, and we can save. And now when I refresh the list view, on the top right, we have a new button called Action Grid. And when I click the Action Grid button, Action Grid will open with all the settings that are related to this list view that I'm now viewing. So if you have a list view with filters, for example, by clicking Action Grid, it will take over the filters that are set for that particular list view and will open up Action Grid with all those settings combined. Now we're looking at the Action Grid user interface. And at the top, we see a header containing some metadata and all the actions that are currently assigned to my profile. So these are actions that I can execute on the data that I'm currently viewing. And in the table below, we see exactly the records that we just saw in the list view as well. And one of the things we can do, just as an example, is do drag and drop to copy values. And when I sort on the company name fields, I can, for example, see that there is Amazon and Amazon Incorporated. What I can do is drag and drop and make sure that I will standardize the company name. Seeing the same example for Buffalo General Hospital here, what I can do, I can simply drag and drop and make sure to mass update the records that I want to mass update. Clicking save, so I have to confirm my changes. So it's one of the examples that makes life a little bit easier when working with data in a list view. Now, another thing that we can do is, for example, updating the industry field here. And maybe I want to prepare this data before sending it over to my sales department. You can see that currently all the records are assigned to my name. But when I'm done manipulating the data, when I'm happy with the data, I will transfer the leads to my sales team. And one of the things I can do to set up the industry field here, I can see that I have a lot of hospitals over here. So what I can do a quick search for a hospital, and it will narrow down the records in my view to all the companies that contain the word hospital. And then I can quickly open up the pick list here. I can look up the healthcare industry option and drag and drop. And that way I can update my records. Clicking save. One other thing that we can do to get this done is use any of the actions at the top. So when I sort on industry, I will make sure that all the records that don't have an industry yet will be sorted at the top. And I will now select the checkboxes to give you an example of an action we can execute. And one of the actions that we recently brought out was the action called Ask ChatGPT. So I'm now going to open up the Ask ChatGPT actions for the records that I've selected, which will open up the action immediately. And in the prompt, I can ask ChatGPT if you had to pick an industry, the company, and then company is operating in. This is a field variable, which is replaced when we send over the prompt. What would you pick? Please pick one of these and limit your reply to one of these answers. And the answers are part of the industry pick list field. So as a result field, I'm going to set industry. And I'm now going to execute a process where I ask ChatGPT for an AI interpretation of the company name and make an educated guess to which industry that company belongs to. Way easier than picking it myself. And as you can see, when it's finished, the industry is set up, and you can see that it made some perfect translations from company names to actual industries. I'm now doing this in the list view, which is, of course, very fancy, but I can also execute this behavior on my entire database using Data Action Platform by running a dub job, for example. So that's really, really powerful stuff. Another thing that I can do is take a look at the phone fields in my list view. And as you can see, we have a pretty messy situation here. If I sort on phone and do it again, you can see that I have some very short values that they are definitely bad phone numbers. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove them, click enter, and I'm going to remove all the phone numbers that I know that are bad, right? So I'm going to save that by dragging and dropping. And what I'm left with is phone numbers that could actually be correct. Looking at the phone numbers, I see that during the import, something went terribly wrong because in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 brackets, I have a double country code, which I cannot really have in there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select all the records. I'm going to deselect the records that don't have a phone number. And I'm going to access the action called Find and Replace. And we all know Find and Replace, of course, from Excel, which is a really powerful feature. You can find a partial value and you can replace it with whatever you want. And I'm going to do that for the phone number field, which we can configure in many different ways. But what I want to do now is make use of regular expressions. And I have a regular expression here that I'm copying. And what this regular expression does, it will look for a plus sign, which is followed up by any number of digits between 0 and 9, and is followed up by a plus sign again. And I'm going to replace that with a single plus sign. And by applying this regular expression, it will remove any duplicate country codes that are present in any of my phone numbers, which is very nice. So this is just an example of what Find and Replace can do with regular expressions. We can also simply find a certain value that you enter as text and replace it with whatever you want. And we can use a Find and Replace action for standardizing values, for example. It's really good at that, for standardizing states or countries or any form of addresses, but also for doing some deep analysis of data and doing very in-depth corrections to data, like the things that I just did. Find and replace is very well suitable for. As you can see, we got rid of all the duplicate country codes, which is really awesome. Exactly what I wanted to do. So we are one step further in preparing this data set before we can hand it over to our sales department. Now, another thing that I would like to check out is my bank accounts here. And using Data Action Platform, we can also start a custom action. And the custom action is based on your own custom apex, which opens up some of possibilities here. And if I sort on bank account number, making sure the bank accounts are at the top, I will select everything again, but will not select the records that don't have a bank account number. And I'm going to the action launcher. And in the action launcher, I can again see all the actions that are assigned to my name, such as run a flow or run an Apex class. But a custom action I have in my library is a validate IBAN bank account number. So I'm picking that one, I'm clicking next, and I will start. So it will now check the IBAN bank account numbers based on my own custom Apex. And it's seeing if they are valid. And if they are valid, it will update the checkbox here called bank account is valid. And if it's not valid, it will not update it. So let's see what it did. You can see that the bank account numbers at the top are all valid. And we got two of them that are not valid. So I'm going to remove them from the view because they're invalid bank account numbers. And later on, I'm going to ask sales to reach out to these contacts, to these leads, to ask for a valid IBAN number. We're going to see that in a second. So yeah, that's all very nice. We're again one step further in preparing the correct bank account numbers. So before creating tasks to ask our sales department to reach out for valid IBAN numbers, I'm going to assign these records to my sales department. And as you can see, we have a lead score field here, which I'm going to sort on. And a lead score here determines how hot this lead is. So how many interactions did this lead have with us as a company? And based on that, we generate a lead score. And I want to divide these records to my sales team, and I want to have an equal distribution so that everyone, someone has the same kind of hot leads assigned to them. And I can do that by sorting on lead score. Right now, the lead score, highest lead score will be appearing at the top. And now I can start setting a different owner. And I have an incredible sales team, which are Black Widow, the Incredible Hulk, and of course, Captain America. And now I can select all three of them, and I can drag and drop it all the way down. And you can see that it is going to distribute it equally based on the sorting on the lead score to my sales team. I can confirm my update, and it has now updated them to assign them to these lead owners, which is really nice. So we now have almost perfect data, but we want this bank account number to be filled. So I'm going to sort on the bank account number again, and I'm going to select the records that don't have a valid bank account number or have a bank account number at all. And I'm going to use the create tasks action. And I'm now mass creating a task for these records. I'm going to assign them to the lead owner, which is Black Widow, Incredible Hulk, Black Widow, Captain America, and Captain America. And the subject is going to be call them. The due date is going to be a week after task creation. And the priority is normal. And I can now write up a comment as well. So what I can do is mentioning them by their first name or their name, looking up the field variable for the owner. Please reach out to And then I'm using a field variable for the first name. And between brackets, let me help the salesperson to give them a phone number as well, and ask them for a valid IBAN bank account number. Thanks. Clicking next, we'll get a summary of the task that I'm about to create, creating 5 tasks. I'm starting that process. And when it's finished, I can open up the lead and see what it did. So when I go now to the activity tab, you will see that Black Widow has an upcoming task. It's a week after task creation, the due date, and you can see, hi Black Widow, please reach out to Martha with a phone number between brackets and ask them for a valid IBAN bank account number. Thanks. So yeah, just a couple examples on how we can use Action Grid with a treasure trove of possibilities with all the actions that we have in our action library to manipulate data, to set everything ready, complete data as well, maybe use Ask ChatGPT for some AI insights on the records. Well, there's a ton of things you can do with that as well. And eventually you can assign them to the users of your choice. And you can do all this without having to transfer data off the Salesforce servers, which is, of course, a big plus in terms of data security.